So I'm going to do my best to bring some light to Shiva's evolution, Lord Shiva's evolution. So this would be, Shiva was a man then, and I'm putting this as in simplest terms because it's so confusing. But then that's what happens when you mix all these different philosophies or religions together. Is it and then really what's at the root of it is they're like I said, it's that serpent, it's that mini Mukalinda. Uh, so just some things to be aware of. So this particular statue, although there's a statue of this in places, I'll do short videos of those, the real statues. But this, I thought for just this video, I can try to explain it a little because this is Shiva's evolution into basically Ardharnish Vera. Ardharnish Vera. So some say Shiva Ardharnish Vera. It signifies totality that lies beyond duality, biunity of male and female in God, and the bisexuality and therefore the non-duality of the Supreme Being. It conveys that God is both Shiva and Parvati. So on my YouTube channel, like a year ago, I did a video on Parvati and Shiva. They were quite the twosomes together. So that's that's who this is. It's as you can see, the left side is the female. I'll go into that in a minute, and the right is the male. So the right side is Shiva, and the left side is Parvati. Shiva and Parvati, both male and female, both father and mother, both aloof and active, both fearsome and gentle, both destructive and constructive, and unifies all other dichotomies of the universe. While Shiva's rosary in the Ardharnishvara icon associates him with self-discipline and spirituality, Parvati's mirror associates her to the material illusionary world. Ardharnishvara reconciles and harmonizes the two conflicting ways of life, the spiritual way of the self-discipline as represented by Shiva and the materialistic way of the householder as symbolized by Parvati, who invites the self-disciplined Shiva into marriage and the wider circle of worldly affairs. The interdependence of Shiva into marriage, the interdependence of Shiva on his power as embodied in Parvati is also manifested in this form. Often the right half of the Ardharnishvara is male and the left is female. The left side is the location of the heart and is associated with feminine characteristics like intuition, creativity, while the right is associated with the brain and masculine traits, logic, valor, and systemic thought. This sounds a lot. Haven't we been taught that there's the right hemisphere of the brain and the left? Oh boy, guess what? It came from this. Yeah. So see, science. Okay, sure. Continuing on. The female is often not equal in the Ardharnishvara, the male god who is half female. She remains a dependent entity. Ardharnishvara is in essence Shiva, not Parvati. This is also reflected in mythology, where Parvati becomes a part of Shiva. It is likewise reflected in the icon. Shiva often has two supernatural arms, and Parvati has just one earthly arm, and not her lion, because there's usually a lion depicted in with them that typically accompanies her. So this is one of the most popular icon forms of Shiva. It is found in more or less all temples and shrines dedicated to Shiva all over India and Southeast Asia. There is ample evidence from texts and the multiple depictions of Ardharnishvara in stone to suggest that a cult centered around this deity may have existed. The cult may have had occasional followers, but was never aligned in any sect. This cult, focusing on the joint worship of Shiva and the goddess, may even have had a high position in Hinduism, but when and how it faded away remains a mystery. Did it fade away? See, when you start messing around with those practices, this is what Jesus was warning about. At least for Christian believing people. Let's see. Though a popular icon, temples dedicated to the deity are few. A popular one, I'm not going to read where they're all located. I don't even know the names of some of these places. So they're, all over Southeast Asia, India. So Shiva is one of the most important gods in Hindu pantheon and is considered a member of the Holy Trinity. A complex character, he may represent goodness, benevolence, and serve as the protector. He is also associated with time and particularly as the destroyer and creator of all things. In Hinduism, the universe is thought to regenerate in cycles. Shiva destroys the universe at the end of each cycle, which then allows for a new creation. Shiva is also great at self-discipline, abstaining from all forms of indulgence and pleasure, concentrating rather on meditation as a means as meditation as a means to find perfect happiness. He also has a darker side as the leader of evil spirits, ghosts, and the master of thieves, villains, and beggars. Shiva is the most important Hindu god for Shivaism. These are the patron of yogis. Let's see a little bit more here. Shiva's wife was Parvati, often incarnated as Kali and Durga. These are just different, like marrying. She was in fact a reincarnation of Sati, the daughter of the god Daksha. Daksha was a goat face. Yes, I'll get to just a minute. I know, it's so all over the place. Like the Bible's easy. The real stuff is easy compared to this. Daksha did not approve of Sati's marriage to Shiva and even went further and held a special sacrificial ceremony to all the gods except Shiva. Outraged at this slight, Sati threw herself in the sacrificial fire. Shiva reacted to this tragedy by creating two demons from his hair who wreaked havoc on the ceremony and beheaded Daksha. The other gods appealed to Shiva to end the violence, and complying, he brought Daksha back to life, but with he had the head of a goat. Well, head of a ram, same thing. As with any major god, Shiva was involved in many adventurous episodes, which illustrates his virtuous character and offer instructions on how to live correctly. For example, self-sacrifice is emphasized. The king of serpents threatened to vomit snake venom across the seas. Shiva, assuming the form of a giant turtle, collected the venom in his palm and drank it. The poison burned his throat and left a permanent blue scar. Hence, one of his many titles became Blue Throat. In art, Shiva may be represented in slightly different ways depending on the culture. And you can see there how one of the ways that it's depicted. So, yes, it's, I don't know. I think this all goes to your Revelations. I'll have to do a follow-up on this because there's more to it. There's way more to it. I'm just trying to give that rough overdraft to say, Revelations does talk about the man child and coming out of the woman beast. Just it proves the Bible. This stuff proves the Bible. Because it's man just believing false spirit, not following the right spirit, believing false spirits. And so when you hear any of these yogis, like some of them are very popular, like there's that Sandgura, whatever, I forget his name. He's very popular all over YouTube. Well, he calls Jesus a bad man because he said a bad man is someone who causes, who disturbs situations in countries. Doesn't matter about the truth. What matters is causes disturbance. Well, that would be a path, I believe, that's following wickedness, that says Jesus was not good.